Hey everyone, it is Brian Lewis once again with the Benjamin Dixon Show, bringing you that daily news content from America and around the world. So I want to have a little bit of fun with this story that I'm going to be talking about today, one of two more than likely. And of course, what would a morning in America or just a day in America be over the past 4 years without a deranged, crazy, manipulative, any of the negative verbs or descriptive words that you can think of, be without a tweet from Donald Trump to make us question our sanity, right? So Donald Trump took to Twitter. There are two tweets that I want to show you guys. One from last night around 11:07 p.m. and then another one from this morning. And the purpose of these tweets, the only thing that I've been able to come up with is to stroke his own ego, perhaps maybe to raise money off of his MAGA cult base, and to continue the dangerous lie that the election was rigged, which, as I will explain in a second, does a lot of damage to actual legitimate voter suppression claims that are real, right? But he's muddying the waters to such an extent that I question whether or not people are even going to take voter suppression seriously anymore. But this does damage to the credibility of so many different things. So before I actually want to go into that stuff, let me read the tweets to you, right? So the one from last night at 11:07 p.m. says, quote, "What does GSA being allowed to preliminarily work with the Dems have to do with continuing to pursue our various cases on what will go down as the most corrupt election in American political history? We are moving full speed ahead. We will never concede to fake ballots and dominion." Now, of course, he's referring to sometime yesterday evening, definitely before 11 p.m., but around, I want to say maybe 5, 6, 7 p.m., the GSA administrator, Emily Murphy, came out because of the political pressure that she was facing. She came out and laid the groundwork for the transition to actually begin in earnest by recognizing Joe Biden as the rightful president-elect, because he won the election. Obviously, it was not close. This was not 2000. This was not something that came down to, a few hundred, votes of a difference. Even in Georgia, Biden's lead is well over 10,000. I don't know the exact number right off the top of my head, but it's a smallish lead, but it's not a small lead by 200 or 300 votes. And then his lead in Michigan, his lead in Pennsylvania is even larger than that. So there was no question about who won the election, right? But she was holding up the transition process, and she was also holding up a lot of Biden's money, which provoked Biden to go onto Twitter and social media to try to raise money, which people were clowning him for, right? So the GSA administrator did her job, basically. Even though she was appointed by Trump in 2017, she had no grounds to continue to hold up this process, right? So Donald Trump seemed as if he was doing the right thing to the extent that he's able to do something like that. And he seemed to give this quasi concession in a previous tweet that he I don't even know if he wrote it, to be perfectly honest with you, but a tweet from his Twitter account saying that he was going to allow his team to work with the Democrats, yada, yada, yada. So now he's coming out. Now, actually, he didn't even give it a whole day, because Trump's moods, his attitudes change with the wind, right? So we all knew that he was going to tweet something that was going to contradict a previous tweet, because that's what he's been doing for the past 4 years. So he says that, what does, allowing his team to work with the Dems have to do with him challenging the election? He lost. He cannot accept that he lost. And this is dangerous. This is so incredibly dangerous, and it does so much damage to American democracy, because his MAGA cultist followers believe this nonsense. But Donald Trump, because he needs to stroke his ego, he needs to inflate that giant head of his. He has to do this. He feels that he needs to do this. So he says that they will never concede to fake ballots. There are no fake ballots. When he says fake ballots, he's talking about black people voting. So this is honestly real. This is an attempt at doing real voter suppression. People need to understand that, because what they actually want to do is they want to nullify black votes. It was black voters in Philadelphia. It was black voters in Georgia. It was black voters that sealed the deal for Joe Biden and the Democrats, right? And Republicans know that. They had huge turnout on their end, more turnout than what Barack Obama even got in 2008, and they still lost by over 6 million votes. It has to hurt. It has to like destroy his ego. And then, oh wow, I'm glad I just took a look here. So I said at the beginning of the video that there were 2 tweets that I wanted to talk about. Something told me to just go to Donald Trump's Twitter page, right? So an hour ago, so this is pretty fresh. There's a third tweet. He's on a tirade this morning, it looks like. He says, remember, the GSA has been terrific and Emily Murphy has done a great job, but the GSA does not determine who the next president of the United States will be. This is so incredibly dangerous. This man is refusing to even acknowledge that he lost. When Biden actually gets to the point where he has to go into the White House, this is going to be very interesting. I don't know if Trump is just playing, if Trump is just conning his followers, stroking his ego, but or if this is actual legit coup attempt, right? Well, that doesn't make sense. If this is this isn't just an actual attempt at a coup, is what I should have said. Because there is no such thing as a legitimate coup attempt. But yeah, this is something he tweeted an hour ago. So I want to actually move on to this next tweet, right? This is the one that he tweeted this morning at 7:33 a.m. So not too many hours ago. He said, quote, poll, 79% of Trump voters believe, quote, election was stolen, end quote. And this, he links a Breitbart.com article, which I'm not clicking on because what will be the point of doing that, right? We know that there's nothing factual that we can pull from Breitbart.com. But then he says they are 100% correct, but we are fighting hard. Our big lawsuit, and I'm using air quotes when I say that because I don't really know what big lawsuit he's talking about, which spells out in great detail all of the ballot fraud and more, will soon be filled. Rigged election, all caps. Oh man, this man is a fool. So I don't know what big lawsuit he's talking about. He's lost 34 or 35 of his court cases that have been thrown out. So yeah, they're at the phase where they're just, and honestly, they've been in this phase for the past 4 years. They're just making stuff up. They're really just making stuff up as they're going along because they know that they have a following where they will just repeat and regurgitate whatever Donald Trump says, completely devoid of evidence. And speaking of Breitbart.com, this is the problem with having echo chambers. This is the problem with having these silos of propaganda information where people can basically say whatever they want to say without any factual evidence. And there's a whole chorus, really honestly, tens of millions of people who will believe whatever they want to believe because they're not being challenged on it, because they're seeking information, they're a confirmation bias. And we know this to be true because when Fox News does tell them the truth, they get mad at Fox News, which is crazy. Like I never thought I would actually see that, but it happens, and it's actually happening because many of them are even saying, no, this is just going to do more damage to American democracy. So I just wanted to go over that. This is actually going to do harm to legitimate claims about voter suppression, and it's muddying the waters a lot. Not so much for voter fraud, which we know hardly ever happens, but for election fraud and electoral fraud and voter suppression. So I will be certainly glad when this is no longer a thing and when he is out of office, which I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way. So like I said, my name is Brian Lewis, and be on the lookout for my next video.